The Detroit Pistons, for a very long time, and I am talking a very, 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 very long time, have been the bad news bears of the NBA. They have just been a atrocious dumpster fire, heaping pile of dog shit, okay? But things are starting to change. Last year, they had their breakout season, and they did it despite even going through some adversity. And they had a great season, especially compared to their past and what they have been. And I think the rebuild is finally starting to come into fruition. And I think they're legitimately poised to be one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference next season. And I'm getting to all the reasons why I think this, from their overall roster being strong, what I think optimistic about their roster, what I think they can continue to improve, and just overall why I think they're going to be able to be one of the best teams, like I said, in the Eastern Conference going into next season. And I think this is a huge opportunity for the Pistons to finally actually give their fan base something to root for. Last year was kind of the teaser, the taste. They got bounced in the first round. They hadn't been there in a while. They were just happy to be there. But now they want to win. And I think that is exactly what they're going to be able to do at a pretty high level going into next season. So if that does sound interesting to you, please watch the video all the way through. And without further ado, without running on too much, let's get right into this video. So first things first, let's break down this roster as a whole from top to bottom. Let's start with their star in Cade Cunningham. I shouldn't have to talk about him much. He is probably, in my opinion, the only true high-level star currently on the roster. They have a few guys that could develop into stars later on that we're going to get into a little bit later, but as of current star, currently a all-star or above level player, I think Cade Cunningham is really the only guy at that level right now. And at only 23 years old, he still has tons of runway and upside to go. Like, the chart is only up and to the right for Cade Cunningham if he can stay healthy. He's already an elite passer, a very good scorer, and just all around very good at pretty much every aspect of the game. And he legitimately has a chance to become a top 5 guard in the entire league. Like, Cade has insane upside left in him, and he's already a great player. Like, even if he stopped developing today at 23 years old, he would be a great player, and he's only going to get better from here as he gets closer and closer to the prime of his career. And I just think overall, Cade Cunningham is a legit guy, and he probably will eventually develop into a guy that's good enough to be the best player on a championship level team. That is how high I am on Cade Cunningham. And then even under him, they have a lot of high-level young talent who could easily develop into a star-level player. Let's start with Azur Thompson. Azur Thompson is already an elite defender in the NBA. He has elite athleticism, and the only thing holding him back is becoming a great offensive player. Now, he's already developed a little bit from year 1 to year 2 offensively in terms of efficiencies and things like that, despite going through an injury. So I think if Azur can continue on that trajectory, he has star potential because he's already there defensively. He's already got the intangibles and athleticism and things like that. He just has to add a jump shot and the scoring ability, and I think he is getting there every year, and he's getting better every game that he plays. He is still very young, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if he can kind of develop into a hybrid between like OG Anunoby, Herb Jones, like that type of player, but like a way more athletic version of them, who's probably going to be better offensively. That's a great player, and I think Azur could easily develop into that by the time year 3 is said and done with. So I think Azur's ceiling is also super, super high. And then Jaden Ivy, who right now is probably their second best player on the whole roster, and he is hands down the second best offensive player on this team. And despite Jaden Ivy missing a huge chunk of last season, including the playoffs, Detroit was still able to find a lot of success. So now plug Jaden Ivy back into there, this team just got that much stronger just by having a healthy Ivy on the team. And Ivy, I think, is going to be a great player. I still have him very high on Jaden Ivy. He's getting better every year. His efficiencies are getting better. He's a great scorer. He just has to lock in on the defense side of the ball. But Ivy is a very good player. And like I said, I think he's going to keep developing. He's still very young. And I think in the future, a backcourt of Cade and Ivy is going to be very, very hard for teams to deal with, because I think they are both having very high ceiling, tons of room to grow. And as their chemistry builds, and as they get better together every year, they should just continue to grow and grow and grow until you just cannot stop them at all. And then the last last high-level young talent I would say they have on the team is a guy in Ron Holland. Now, Ron Holland is potentially an X factor on this team. His potential is superstar. Now, he's far from hitting it, but that is where his ceiling's at, is superstar, because athletically, there is almost no one with his build and athleticism combined, and then offensively, he's already showing strides in his game. From what he showed in his rookie season to what he showed in this summer league, second-year summer league, he showed strides in his game, and I think he's going to have a much bigger role with the team this season, and I think overall, if Ron Holland can lock in defensively, do all the dirty work while also keeping improving on the offensive side of the ball, the sky is the limit for Ron Holland. This dude is a stud. I was very high on him in his class, and I'm still very high on him, and I think Holland could be the X factor for this team, because like if Azur can develop into a OG Mikal Bridges, Herb Jones type player, Jaden Ivy can become a borderline all-star shooting guard, and Ron Holland can develop into a superstar. I mean, that is going to be hard to deal with for anyone, and plus they're all very young, so they're going to have time to grow and develop together, and they're going to be able to keep them on the team for a very long time. That is going to be very scary for the rest of the NBA once they all start developing and getting more years under their belt and getting better and better. And then, equally as important, after all these young guys and their star-level players who are going to really be the energizers of this team going forward, and they're going to be the building blocks of what this team is trying to build around, look at how many good veteran or role players they just have around them. Now, look, I'm going to put Jalen Duren here, but Jalen Duren, in my opinion, is still a good young guy, but I don't think his ceiling's super high at this point. I think he is what he is, and that's why I have him under the good role players section. And Jalen Duren just plays his role very solidly. He's a good rim protector, good rebounder, always a lob threat, very athletic. But he doesn't really do anything else, and it's been a few years in the league, and he hasn't really developed his game much. So I think he is going to be what he is, just a very solid starting level center. So I think, although not bad, and will be on this team for a long time, most likely, I just think he's going to be a good role player going forward. But then even some of the veterans on this roster to lead the young guys is very impressive, as they have guys like Tobias Harris, who's a very solid vet who can give you about 15 a game whenever you need him to, just all-around solid player, always been solid his whole career, just a guy that's going to do what you need him to do. Dennis Schroeder, still a guy who can give you great minutes off the bench. He can run the point very well. Now, although his scoring ability and his efficiencies can be questionable at times, his passing is still very good, and running point is very important when you have a guy like Cade Cunningham as your starter. So having a guy like Schroeder who can kind of fill those minutes and fill the same role kind of just without the scoring is very, very important. And then Isaiah Stewart, I mean, I don't think I need to introduce you to Isaiah Stewart. He's very tough, very gritty, wants to fight everything that moves. The dude, I mean, fucking out here trying to murder anyone that even calls him a mean word, okay? He's insane, but that's exactly what you need on these young teams. You need an enforcer, a guy that's going to beat up people, not going to take no shit, and that is exactly what Isaiah Stewart is. So he plays his role to almost perfection. And then Malik Beasley. Malik Beasley was great for them last year. He's an absolute bucket off the bench. He can just do basically everything you need him to offensively. He's your spark plug, and he's just great at his role, and just overall should continue to play the same role he played last year with them and just be a great vet and a great scorer for them off of their bench. Duncan Robinson, they added this season, and Duncan Robinson, the white boy, can dead-eye three-point shooter. So anytime you can get any more dead-eye three-point shooters, you should always do that. They're very valuable in this league, and for him being one of their last guys off the bench is extremely impressive. And then lastly, Karis LeVert. Karis LeVert, great scorer with the Cavs last year and for the past few seasons. I think Karis LeVert is going to be a very big addition to this team because he can kind of just do everything offensively. He's a good vet, knows how to do it at a high level, knows how to win. And I think he's just going to be a very big piece of this team. And the Detroit Pistons bench should be pretty damn good. Like, no matter what combination they do at their starting lineup, they're going to have a very deep bench with a lot of veterans and young guys sprinkled throughout, and they should complement each other very, very well. So this team is very deep. Their talent is very high. They have a legit superstar in Cade. They made it to the playoffs last year, and they're only going to get better from there, from self-development and from the additions they made through the draft and free agency this year. And I just think overall, this team is poised to dominate next season even more than they already did, and they're going to have a even bigger breakout season going into next year than what they did. And then lastly, just kind of, I named all like the main guys that can contribute, but they even have some wild cards on this roster, starting with Bobby Klintman. Bobby Klintman has tons and tons of potential. Now, he's still fairly raw, and I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't have a major role on this team this year, but I could easily see him developing next year into a legit rotational guy for them. His potential's through the roof. He has great size. He's very talented offensively. He has high two-way potential. I loved him when they picked him in the second round last year, and I think his potential is still very high, and I think he could be a contributor for them long-term going forward. And then Marcus Sasser as well, although I don't think he's anything special and he doesn't have huge potential, he's a young guy who can shoot the ball very well, he can play good defense, and give you good spot minutes when you need to, and with him still being as young as he is, he may be a long-term option for them going forward if they can remain being good and they're getting money situations, and he would be a cheap option going forward. So hopefully both of these guys can contribute, and I think these are kind of wild card players, like not guaranteed by any means, but they do have enough potential for me to at least talk about them a little bit. But now that I've covered the entire roster, the reason I did that was to show you how strong this roster is and how good they are and how much better they're going to be going in next season, to then say, in my opinion, how weak the Eastern Conference is this season or going into this season. Like, look at the usual suspects of the Eastern Conference who dominated. You have Boston, who's been the top dog for a few years now. I cannot see being the top dog anymore. I mean, Jason Tatum's going to be out basically the entire year. You lost Kristaps, you lost Drew Holiday, you lost a lot of other guys. And I just think they're not as deep as they are. They have a much weaker team than they usually have. And plus, Jason Tatum being out is a gigantic blow. So although they may still be a playoff level team, I don't think they're any longer the contender level team they have been for the past few seasons. And I think for sure Boston got much weaker. Then the Indiana Pacers, who made the finals out of the Eastern Conference last year, lost Miles Turner, and Tyrese Halliburton will be out the entire season, and I just think overall the Pacers are no longer even close to contenders anymore. They may be not even a playoff team due to the circumstances they currently find themselves in. Milwaukee, they lost Damian Lillard, and I mean, they did get Miles Turner, and I think they're going to still be a very good team, but I'm not sure they're striking that much fear into people. Yeah, you have Giannis, so you always have a chance, but I don't think they're going to strike fear into your heart and really make you fear them. New York is very solid, and I think overall their team is one of the better ones in the Eastern Conference and will probably be one of the hardest outs. And then the only other team that I think roster-wise even comes close to the strength of this Pistons one is the Miami Heat. I think Miami has a very underrated roster going into next year, and they don't have any superstars on that Miami Heat roster. They do just have a very well-rounded, very complimentary team, and I just think they're going to be very good. So really, if they can beat Milwaukee, which I think they can, if they can beat New York, which I think they can, and if they can beat Miami in a 7-game series, which I think they can, I think that they could legitimately make a run at it this season. Now, am I saying they're going to make the finals or anything? Not exactly, because I'm not sure if they're there yet. They kind of like OKC was too young 2 years ago, but then they made it the next year. That could be kind of what happens to Detroit. Detroit could probably win a playoff series, then play one of these veteran high-level teams, and then probably lose in 7. And then the next year when they have the experience and maybe some more little additions and to really kind of fine-tune the roster, and after some more development, then I think they'll be ready for real contention. So maybe not this year they're going to win the championship or make the championship, but I would not be shocked if the East remains how it is, or at least a resemblance of how it looks for the next few years, if the Detroit Pistons are legitimately one of the best teams, if not the best team, out of the Eastern Conference going forward. But I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you agree with me? Do you think Detroit's going to be elite? How good do you think they're going to be? Or how bad do you think they're going to be? I want your thoughts in the comment section below. And like, point the like button, subscribe button, and that episode to me. And I hope you have a blessed day, because I had a blessed day, so you need to have a blessed day. All glory to God. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Boo. Blah.